and I'll start tracking your attendance as well. This is taking some time. Let's see. Yeah, the recording has started. First things first, I had a small technical glitch, so the delay in the start of the lecture. Well, that is one side, but then today I have a meeting in college, so we would not be having a lecture all the way till 10:20. Let me see how long I can conduct this. Certainly till 10 o'clock, and I would break off at any point suitable after 10 o'clock as such. Well, and since this is going to be a short lecture, let us, as I said yesterday also, let us continue with our discussions as to what should a student in geography, uh, when he has a paper in human geography now, what does he think that she is expecting as far as the possible study is concerned. So we spoke about a lot of things that we tend to understand, and then yesterday we also spoke about the fact that how human beings have a few biological advantages, comparative advantages. I would say these are not absolute advantages. Somebody did point out yesterday, I think it was Chandralekha who pointed out that every animal has its own speciality endowed upon it by nature. So human beings have been endowed upon, say, a brain which is relatively large in size as compared to its biomass, and that helps it to say think. And over the period of thinking, man started actually walking on his two legs, and which freed his forelimbs, as they are called in zoology. And now we call these forelimbs as hands. And then the split of the arms and hand and so on and so forth is something that has happened with human beings as such. Another advantage is use of the positioning of the eyes as such, which gives us a sense of depth and so on and so forth. And significantly, we saw that we have been intelligent enough to put all our senses, uh, say, in an integrated manner, and we have been using them significantly. Okay, it's not that one of our senses happens to be very, very strong as compared to others as such. We have all our senses in on an average scale, and we have understood that. And I did say this yesterday also, that man fortunately understood that he is a very weak animal physically as compared to the other larger mammals particularly. So that is something again that human beings have worked on, and they have say gathered together. Now, what more do you think is something that we need to say possibly could be a matter of study when we are doing human geography? Yeah. What else do you think? You gave me, I asked you about what your information about human geography is, but I found that a lot of this we should learn social geography is what Chandralekha says. Um, what do we mean when we say we should be learning social geography? Let us start with this since he has brought up this. Yeah, yes, we do understand that it is a subfield of human geography,
So can
but
I answer this?
yeah, you can. Why not?
So, to study social geography means to study the social conditions, means like human behavior and also the gender, means like the factors, something like which is related to social society.
Okay, do we study caste in this? Do we study religion in this?
No, mostly
No,
caste. Sorry,
society is
caste
not
system. Yes,
include.
yes. But
Yes, we
it
do.
it it's more in detail, we can say.
Okay. Now, before I come down to social geography, And before I start speaking about, as you have said, that human behavior and gender and caste, let us go to a period wherein we could have been at a primitive level, okay, as compared to understanding gender, caste, religion. So, what would be the first thing that man would be doing with himself once he starts understanding the difference between physical geography and human geography, in the sense, again, the fact that we are understanding it in a way to say that physical geography is everything that is natural and human geography is everything that is man-made as such. So what would I be looking at, or how would I evolve to be a human being outside man, a term that we used yesterday, man as a part of uh, Ruchiti is saying, what are we discussing? We are just trying to say gather the points that we were doing yesterday, and we are today trying to concentrate more towards trying to understand, as a human geography student, what should I be thinking of, or possibly what should I dream that I have in store for me in a subject called as human geography. In that sense, as I said, that it's all about man and things that man makes for himself. And before the step that I enter into the social aspects as such, a step before that, what do I think? What do what should human beings, I would rather say, should be thinking about? Okay, I would say, let us think about a stage wherein man is not considering himself to be like other animals. At the same time, he is not the present human being. What would be the concerns that man would have, okay, which eventually would come under the study of human geography? I hope you're getting the picture I'm trying to paint in front of you, so that you give me what are the branches in human geography, what should we be studying as human geography.
So branches are many, like
No,
Chandralekha
no, no, don't go
pointed
into the branches. We will logically enter these branches. I don't want you all to go though that textbook method. I'm taking you back to a period wherein man is not included in animals, but he's not the man that we are today. He might have started understanding his evolutionary behavior, diversity. Diversity is one thing. Now, when we think of diversity, how do we start thinking of diversity? Veda says she wants to say something. Yes, please.
So before this point, you said that the present man and before man, right? So
Mm.
I just got a point that earlier man were worshipping the nature, and they were they were like, we if we are not worshipping the nature, if we are not obeying the nature will harm us. And in
Uh,
present,
okay.
it is all changed. Like man is defying all the norms of the nature and extending to modify it.
I would still go back. As I said, we have just shifted, or we have fallen out of the pack of the animal kingdom and trying to understand ourselves separately. What would be one of the first things that that would bother a social gathering of animals? Yes, Prachiti wants to say something.
Maybe the fact that we will start changing in the way that we have our food habits. Like,
Exactly. One of the basic things every animal would require is food. Now, uh, there has been a period in human evolution when man has been dependent on natural food, right? He has been eating say berries and fruits, etc. At the same time, protection is something is again is very interesting. Yeah, but and he may at some point of time he may have killed down other animals and have eaten, but that's a natural source. Now, what regarding to food, listen to my question carefully. What regarding to food would lead to development of food by human beings for themselves, which would be classified as an activity under human geography? Answer is absolutely simple, though the question may sound very technical.
Can you
Yes.
repeat?
Uh, I just made up that question for us. Okay, I'll not repeat, I'll try to reframe it for you all, in the sense that what we start with a stage wherein man is getting his food from nature. We come to a stage wherein now man tries to plan his own food. Yes, farming is what Nandini says, and that is what is one major activity. I would not stick to that word, I would make it more broad. I would say, yes, Chandralekha says agriculture. So, agriculture geography is one solid branch within human geography as such. Now, you have agriculture, we have identified agriculture as such, and we have an agricultural produce. I would go further deep into this as a human geographer. I would regionalize agriculture in the sense, if I'm near the equator, what would the type of agricultural practices, what would the major crops that I would cultivate, and if I'm going away from the equator, what the scenario would be. And then I would go into various patterns of agriculture, we are going to do it. I'm just listing them out: that intensive agriculture and mechanized agriculture and market gardening, and intensive. I've already spoken about intensive. Then, of course, in the primitive stages, we had what is called a slash and burn agriculture. So the study of this
Subsistence agriculture.
subsistence farming, which is carried out very seriously in countries with very high density of population, India included in that, and then modern agriculture, and eventually come to the present stage, wherein now agriculture and the products of agriculture get diversified, and somehow they fall into other subjects beyond geography, but somewhere there is a connect between that. And that is a point which I would like to bring you all to again, that though you may not say take up specialization or geography as a special subject in the second year, you'll over the period of time realize that what you do as basics of geography, physical and human geography, will always have their connections in any subject that you are going to do over a period of time. So that's something that you have to carry, and that is why I am connecting you to the basics of understanding physical geography that we have done last semester, and human geography that we are going to do this particular semester as such. If you restrict yourselves to all those typical definitions that are given in those NCRT textbooks and your FYBA textbooks as such, you will have your limitations. And I would say that, in fact, you should carry this thought not only in geography but in all the subjects that you are doing. How can I think about my subject in another subject? Okay, say for example, uh, psychology. Okay, what is the geography in psychology? History. What is the geography in history? What is the geography in political science? What is the geography in sociology, and so on and so forth? What is the geography in various languages that we learn? Is something that you have to do as students of geography. As students of sociology, you have to look for sociology in geography. You have to look for sociology in psychology. You have to look for sociology in other history, and so on and so forth. That is how you'll build a very strong base and network of understanding humanities as such. Okay, with say keeping that philosophy, we'll come to this philosophy as and when we would require it. We go back to the content as such. Food, and food comes out of farming. A broader aspect of farming is agriculture. You have mixed agriculture, you have dairy farming, and you have nomadic herding, and so many things. And as I said, that we could go into the regionalization of all these agricultural practices as such. Where in the world are we going to? And you'll see that there is such a wonderful logical connection between these things, in the sense that when I say subsistence farming, a logical connection is that subsistence farming is going to be practiced in areas with high density of population. When I say mechanized farming, you'll identify mechanized farming with areas which have low human population, and labor requirement is more. So labor is required is substituted by machines, and so on and so forth. Okay, so coming back to the basics as to why am I doing or what should I be expecting out of human geography? One of this is a food requirement, and we said that okay, that's going to be studied under agriculture geography. Now, as we have already said that when man is going to practice agriculture, he's a weak animal. He's going to require help, and he starts say bringing groups of human beings and groups of animals together. Now, what do you think is the next thing that we need to understand as far as a possible linkage into human geography?
They need shelter.
Yes, shelter. You'll see that when I'm going to, as long as human beings were like other monkeys, they were traveling from place to place in search of food, it was a completely different scenario. Once human beings settled down and started practicing agriculture, they had to take care of that particular piece of land. Now, to take care, they had to be there. Once you are there, you have to protect yourself from uh, 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 say very high temperatures, very low temperatures, rainfall and wind and all those climatic phenomena that tend to happen and change the weather so regularly. Yesterday we had a lot of rain. Somebody was discussing about and had put up an interesting weather report, and I said that we would be discussing it in the class as well. Possibly we would, I'm sorry, I don't think we would be having the time. We could discuss about it on the WhatsApp group as well. But the point here is when I'm going to settle down in a particular area, I would be required to settle down to take care of my farm, my field, and as a consequence, the next connectivity within this human geography is going to be sheltering or settlement. And then we advance into the study of settlement. Now, interestingly, what happens is one thing that you have to remember is all the subjects that we do presently, science, commerce, and arts. An interesting aspect in this is that we have started studying these subjects at different periods of human history. In the sense, we divide these phases into ancient, and then you have modern, and in between you have periods of dark ages. Those who have studied history will be understanding this also. So in that sense, you'll see that it's we whatever we do today as an advancement is of course the study of contemporary things that happen around us. At the same time, we are linking these contemporary activities and activities and happenings around us. We trace them back into the history of human beings as such. So when I say settlement, I would start with how man tried to a basic thing for settlement, that man wanted to shelter himself from climatic say hazards, I would rather say, and weather phenomena to and then we continue from there as to rise and say the size of these settlements and the pattern of these settlements. We're going to do this also. I'm just giving you, as I said, I repeat, I'm giving you a fair idea of what we have in store for ourselves, and uh, and the pattern of settlements in rural areas and the pattern of settlement in urban areas. How do we classify a rural area to be separate from an urban area? What are the characteristics of the urban area? To an extent now that now we are trying to understand the problems of rural settlements rather, the problems of urban settlements as such, all the way to say something that happened on 6th of March, and that's the say inauguration of the metro. Why does the metro come in? Okay, of course there are other aspects to this, but then with geography, when I'm saying metro, what am I referring to in geography?
Transport.
Exactly. I'm referring to transport. So I do agriculture, I produce. Initially, I eat what I am producing. Eventually, I find that I have more for me. So I have to exchange it for the other commodities that I require. When I have to exchange, the commodity has to travel. When this commodity travels, comes in what we are going to understand as transport. The various means of transport, the various methods of transport. Now, just transporting is not going to be enough. Something that is associated with transport is communication. So normally you'll see that transportation and communication are two terms that are actually referred to in connection to each other. Okay, so you'll see that people say the size of groupings of people tend to grow, okay, and the densities increase. What do you think we are going to do after that in human geography? What would we be
Population,
required to? Yes,
demography.
demography. We tend to count people in different areas and how they are differently placed around. Okay, we initially start with just getting head counts. Then we realize that just counting the heads is not going to be enough. We have to count male heads separately, and we have to count female heads separately. We start doing that, and over the period of time, we find that we have to count these heads in a peculiar manner. We have to separate out gray hair heads. We have to separate out black and other colored heads separately as such. So here is where we come into what somebody referred to, I think Veda referred to it, say the gender aspect, and of course the split within the gender, or I would rather say the age aspect to it. Okay, and then slowly we bring in the economic aspects also. Okay, in the sense man creates means of exchange, and convenience into that leads to identification of a mean of exchange, and that is money. And when money comes in, you'll see that every commodity, man-made or natural, has and attains some value, and we have to pay for that particular thing, and that is how economic geography comes into being. And you'll see that once money is introduced in the whole system, yes, yes, political aspect is also going to be included in human geography, is a question that Chandralekha asks us. But as I said, the geography is looked upon as a subject which is a jack of all trades, master of none. And that is why you have to keep in mind that I may not be able to know all the details of transportation and demography and the politics and agriculture and other aspects, but in geography I should be in a position to connect, have a connect in these, okay, and how together they build to a main branch of geography, that is human geography. How human geography and physical geography integrate into each other to highlight the main term geography as such. Geography is basically the study of the geography. Okay, so it's the study of the earth. Okay, eventually we divide it into the natural earth and the man-made earth as such. So these are things. Okay, so we have spoken about what? We have spoken about agriculture, we have spoken about demography, we have spoken about transport, and we have partially said, we have also spoken about uh, uh, political geography to some extent as such. Okay, so anything else that you can think of that we need to add to, or possibly a human geographer could take up as an activity as
Um,
such? Yes.
uh, yes, so I'm like an instructor in Foley, in Insearch. So we have these activities where we keep on going to Tamini and stuff. So one thing I've
Mm-hmm.
noticed in the villages is
Mm,
that the particular crop or a particular
mm,
tree, any flora which is endemic or in abundance to a particular village, is
mm-hmm.
something that which is used for more than just their agricultural purpose. Like in Tamini, if you go to any Western Ghat area, there's
Mm-hmm.
this tree called Madhi and Tadhi. So those
Mm-hmm.
trees, fishtail palm. So those trees are like just like Bhat Sheti is like, the rice ka production is like a very apex level of
Mm-hmm.
income for them. So
Yeah.
just like that, these fruits of Madhi tree, they used to like put a small stick through that and it gets collected. So
Mm.
before Bhat
Okay.
Sheti and all was like in that abundance, this was their only
Mm-hmm.
source of income. And gradually they
Okay.
started using the trees, like those trees stay around for like almost 12, 13 years. All
Mm-hmm.
the houses in any of the Western Ghats, like even near Konkan, will have almost 3, 4 trees next to their house. And they
Okay.
will use this tree after it dies. The
Ah,
trunk, the wood gets like really soft. So
just
they
like
cut
any
it
palm
like,
tree, right? Yeah.
yeah, they cut it in half and they put
Mm-hmm.
it over their roof. so that whenever the water, like in the rainy season, the water will like slide off from those pipe like structures.
Yeah, yeah.
So I think
वाटमध्ये
we can,
पन्हाळी म्हणतो आपण त्याला.
yes,
Mhm. Yeah,
this all like agriculture and the human settlement, like the structure of houses is also dependent on the agriculture.
we do
Like,
that in settlement. Yes, settlement is not only people gathering; it is the type of residential arrangements that man resides in.
all the monsoon, like heavy monsoon areas will have like slanted and
Exactly.
very short houses.
Definitely, definitely.
So one more thing I wanted to add
Yeah,
to
yeah.
Prachita's
Please do.
point is
Uh,
that Madi tree, no,
uh.
it is also used to eat. It means like
Okay,
we
I'll ask you
grow
all
our
a question.
pulse.
Yeah, I'll ask you all a question. We are speaking about this Madi tree and so on and so forth. It so happens that, of course, this is a product out of a brainy human being, isn't it? So, in that case, now, initially, you start using a particular resource for a definite purpose, and then you find or you search out more and more utilities out of that. What is this search activity also called as in technical language? It initially it serves one prime purpose, and then you find that okay, I can do this also out of it. I can do this also out of it. What is the technical term used when we try to explain this? That I find out multiple ways, okay, to use that particular resource. What am I doing with that particular resource or utility of that particular resource? That's called as innovation. I innovate ways in which I am looking at that particular resource as such. Okay, let me also tell you that when we are speaking about human geography, we are also looking into the anthropological aspect of it. As I said, and I keep repeating, the geography is look at this subject as jack of all trades and master of none. If you remember, I don't know whether I've spoken this with you all, but eventually many a times when I am in a public gathering wherein I'm not known to the people around me, and then I introduce myself as a geographer, I find that people will ask you say varied questions, okay, right from politics to agriculture to environmental aspects to climate change and river discharge and snowfall and anything that comes to their mind. They will throw these questions at you all, and that's basically because geography is understood to be a subject which is called as a jack of all trades, master of none. And coming back to what I was referring to, is the jack aspect of this is that human beings need to know his own history, his biological history, in the sense the various species, all the way through the present Australopithecus that man has come to. We tend to study and differentiate ourselves within, in the sense, I don't know how many of you all have done this, but then are this length and this length. Okay, the ratio of this length and this length is called as the cephalic index, and it is on this cephalic index that you are called as a broad faced or a short faced, and so on and so forth. The color of the hair, the style of the hair, whether it is straight, whether it is wavy, whether it is curly, whether it is black, whether it is blonde, etc. All this, okay, at a basic level is done in geography, and then eventually the specialization goes into what is called as anthropology. So we have to be very careful that when you say that you are doing geography but you can't answer a particular question, you have to be ready for a possible answer for any question. If you are not able to give an answer, you have to take care that you go back and study your notes and get back to the person and give him her the right answer as such. So anthropology, as I said, is another aspect that we tend to understand. Political geography, somebody did point out, is also an appreciable part that is done in human geography. What we mean to see here, and of course the various resources that man tends to use and exchange, and of course the basis on which say the present world is working around. Okay, economic geography on a very broad scale, to an extent that consumption patterns are also studied. Nowadays, of course, You have what is called as globalization, that you have products from one part of the world traveling all the way to the other part of the world. The arrangements that we make as far as making these products travel from one part of the world to the other part of the world. I'm initially saying one part of the world to the other part of the world. Yes, we forgot on industrial geography. But before we come to industrial geography, I'll just refer to, initially I say one part of the world to the other part of the world. I come to, through political geography, I come to saying the fact that one country to the other country, whether that country is going to accept what you are going to sell to it, send to it, is going to be decided on certain agreements that you have with these countries. That is called as trade. Okay, so trade comes under economic geography, and under that you have trade, the agreements that you have to, yes, an advanced branch of trading would be marketing. As such, a simple thing, that you will not have mangoes beyond the summer season in India, but Australians know that Indians love mangoes, so they will send mangoes which are cultivated in their summer season and our winter season, and we could have it here. Of course, it will come at a significant premium as such. Uh, when we are referring to these commodities, we call them as basic resources. Now, many resources would not be in a position to be consumed directly. So such resources have to be processed upon before they are made available in the economic market as such. This processing comes under what is called as industry. Industrial geography is an important part within human geography as such. The various theories of location of industries. Weber, a famous economist, has given various theories as far as industrial location is concerned. There is a lot to speak about, but I think that's enough for the day. And when we meet next week, we'll go into trying to understand how we have actually structured the syllabus for ourselves to study human geography. Okay, I have given you a fair introduction into what human geography is, and you could keep thinking on what are the possible ways in which I would be, say, I would be exposed to this subject called as human geography. What are the other topics that I could study within human geography, and so on and so forth. We have ample amount of time next 3 4 days, and when we meet next Thursday, we will continue our discussion as far as understanding the basics of human geography is. That's all from me for this particular time. If you have any questions, I can answer them right now.